Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I title this message, When Sons and Daughters Are Protective of Their Mother. When sons and daughters are protective of their mother. And we do have those who will not be moved when it comes to mom. They are not going to be moved physically. They're not going to be moved to change. When it comes to the relationship with mother, they are not going to be moved to do too much of anything other than to be protective of mom. It may look dysfunctional, the way they're behaving at times. It may drive some people crazy, especially if one is the partner of that son or daughter. Some have been accused of loving mama too much. Some will not be moved out of households, whether you threaten, whether you take something away, give them a deadline. I'm staying, says the son. I'm staying, says the daughter. Why are they so protective? Well, the one who doesn't want to see truth, the one who wants to believe that I'm a good husband, I'm a good boyfriend, I never did anything, they're not going to see how the son and daughter's overprotectiveness, if you will, is connected to how they have acted toward the mother, okay, over the years, or maybe within recent months. I'm not going anywhere, says the son, the daughter, in so many words. Father is like, well, do you plan on going anywhere anytime soon? No. Do you have any goals, aspirations, dreams, what have you? Yeah, I do. And I'll get to them. But I'm watching Daddy. I'm watching Daddy. Sometimes sons and daughters are used as buffers because the mother is fearful of the boyfriend or the husband. And even the children don't know what mother is up to. I talked about something like this in Tell Me Mother You're Sorry. You see, sometimes it's systematic in the way that she's dealing with them because, number one, she's not ready to let go. Some of these mothers are controlling, okay? Another reason is simply because, well, I love them and I just want what's best for them, and I don't think that they're prepared to be out there on their own. Okay, well, then you make sure you give them the tools to prepare them to be out there on their own. And don't be the mother that wants to hold her babies hostage. Oh, I'm not doing that. But they do it in different ways. Whether it's the guilt trip when the son or the daughter says, I'm ready to move on. I want to be with my husband or my wife, or me and my girlfriend or my boyfriend. We made some plans. And right away, she is jumping on them like, wait a minute. Okay, who is this person? What are you doing? When are you going? Well, I don't think that's a good idea. And she keeps coming up with all sorts of reasons as to why it's not a good idea that that child who has now turned into a young adult should go. Okay? And some of these fathers are unaware of that because, one, they're not spending that type of time with their sons and daughters to find out exactly what is going on. Why doesn't this son, daughter, want to move on? Why is he so protective? Or she's so just, at times disrespectful when I come around? When it comes to me dealing with her mother. So I'm going to get into the things they saw. Okay? I know I'm going to step on some people's toes. I'm going to get into some of the things that was done in the household. You may have forgot about it. And like I said, some men, they say, I'm good, I'm fine. No, they're not behaving this way because, well, maybe they are. Okay? They're behaving this way, being overprotective, and even some of them act a bit controlling too. Because one, they saw way too many arguments, or they heard way too many arguments. And they were the type of arguments that, no, it wasn't just a simple disagreement. It was the type of arguments that made them afraid. And this sort of thing happened probably when they were very young and they never seemed to have gotten over some things. Okay? So yes, they're going to be protective when they get older because now I'm not a little child anymore. And if you act like you're going to do something to my mother, I might have to do something to you. I remember feeling this way because I was often dropped off over at my grandmother's, okay? And one of my uncles had been disrespectful repeatedly in front of me. And so as I got older, and mind you, I was a mere 11 years old, but in my mind, I felt older than that. And in my spirit too, because I had heard too much at times and I seen too much. And so this particular time, he decided that he was going to get real ugly with my grandmother. And I decided this was going to be the last time. And so as he was yelling and, just being real belligerent, he then proceeded to grab her. He grabbed at her bra. And when he grabbed at her bra, I was thinking, what have you just done? Back in those days, women used to keep money in their bras, and that's why he was going after it. And he insisted that she had some money and that she was to give it to him. Because back then, too, there was this influx of drugs that came into the community and people was losing their minds. We're talking about in the 90s, okay? So I decided to take matters in my own hands. I'd already warned him. I'd already told him. And then I was yelling, leave her alone, leave her alone. He still wouldn't do it. So I went into the bedroom, and she had a hammer there. Okay? Some relatives listening to this message, they may connect the dots as to why I don't particularly care for him as well as others, because they too were very disrespectful. So I was the overprotective granddaughter. Okay? And so I went and I got a hammer and I proceeded to go upside this man's head. My grandmother sees I am going after his head and by the grace of God grabs my arm and is fighting with me to keep me from beating him across his head. He didn't see me coming, but she did. And I remember her saying, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You don't need to be going to that jail for them kids. It's not worth it. And I said, no, he shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be doing this. And I was shook up for months. I wrote it in my diary, and that was one of the things that gave me peace of mind, because when you tried to talk to adults about what you had done or was about to do, they would kind of brush it off, or they say, okay, well, don't be doing nothing like that again, and, what have you. So, you see, when you have these disputes and you think that they're okay and all right, and you and the lady or the wife are back to being cool again, not in the mind of the child, because from that point on, every time I seen him, I was guarded and grew up to not like him. I don't like him to this day. Now, I know some of you all, once again, well, we didn't have that many arguments. Just stop. Just stop right now. What you consider is not that many. One is too many for some children, okay? Some of them are still thinking about that time when you were acting real threatening. Even if you didn't put your hands on the mother, you were still acting a bit threatening when you walked over to her and you were in her face. Okay? Or you were putting your hands up as if you were going to do something, or you were throwing something maybe not at her, but you were acting like a complete fool that day. They remember. Lord Jesus, I'm trying to get some people to understand that if you want these kids to move on with their lives, you got to give them some peace of mind. Whether it's you, mother, who happened to listen to this message and you're holding on to those children as if they are like bodyguards, or you, father, who are wanting the kids to go and live healthy, functional lives, but you are still in that delusional state of mind as to why they're so overprotective. Somebody needs to have a conversation with the children and put them at peace. If you got this long track record right now of not acting like fools in the household, not yelling, fussing, cussing, okay, there might be that sense of peace that they have because, well, yeah, okay, well, let me evaluate. Let me think. Okay, has daddy been disrespectful towards mom recently? All right. Seems like they're getting along. Okay, now can I focus in on my life now? You see, because sometimes it is just natural for a child to act defensive and protective, okay, and not want to leave. And so that summer, when all this foolishness was going down, there was another uncle who was acting up as well. I was not about to leave my grandmother, okay? No, I'm good. This will be my residency for right now, okay? Then, of course, some are not going to leave because moms and dads just make life too comfortable, okay? If I know that you're cooking for me, you're cleaning, you're organizing for me, you're coddling me, you're telling me that I'm such a good daughter, such a good son, okay? Maybe mama's doing that a whole lot, dad not so much. Why am I going to just leave all of this? I mean, you're not requiring me to have a job, or if I do have a job, you're not requiring that I make any contribution to the household. You're not requiring that I do any chores, okay? And so dad comes along and wants to start, talking about you need to do this and you need to do that. No. And not only that, I'm going to be protective of the one that's making life a bit comfortable for me. I think I intend on staying here for the rest of my life. Like, you know what? You will. But hey, that's a conversation you're going to have with your wife or girlfriend. Because at the end of the day, she got her reasons as to why she is just so accommodating to her children. My children were here for me when nobody else was here for me. I want to give my son, my daughter, do you understand that when I was in my last relationship, they defended me? I mean, I'm not trying to let them go. And if you got a problem with it, well, you can go. And that same grandmother, R.I.P., rest in peace, she ended up sending a man away because he brought some things to light concerning how she was, just a bit too much when it came to her children. She was just allowing them just too much roaming room, okay? And the way at times they talked to her and all that. And she basically said, well, if you are going to act that way about me and my kids, you need to go, okay? My grandmother would be very giving toward her adult children. We're not talking about little kids. She was very giving to the point where she would go broke giving to them. I mean, people pay attention. If you want a man to come into your life, mother, you got to know how to set some boundaries, even with your children. Well, you just don't know. Well, you just don't know. You're not going to have a man stick around when every time he turns around, my kid's this and my kid's that. She doesn't have a life because her life is centered around her children. And she has parented and raised them in such a way where they, once again, are like the bodyguards. They're going to be around her. They're going to protect her. They're going to go wherever she goes. Okay? They're going to run errands. They're going to stand up for her. And when you see that, you know you're the kind of man that, look, I just want a functional, healthy relationship with this mother of these children. And these children may not be yours. And she's not giving me that. Well, you know what you need to do. There are things that some men just are not going to tolerate. Okay? And one thing they're not going to tolerate is a bossy, disrespectful son or daughter. They're not going to deal with that, but for so long. And then that's when those arguments show up. You better put your son in his place. You better put your daughter in her place. I'm not going to have all of this. This is crazy. And some men have ended up separating and divorcing behind this sort of thing. Okay? Another thing when it comes to these overprotective sons and daughters is that they get to a place where they've been around mom for so long that they're like the husband, okay? I know some people are like, ooh, that's strange. But that's because, once again, that mother allowed that to happen. She parented in such a way where that son is taking care of bills. He's the one that's making sure that things get done, like the head of house, you see. So if you want to get something taken care of for some of these sons and daughters, you got to go through them in order to get to the mother. Okay, once again, if that's a fight that you don't want to deal with, then you don't have to. That doesn't make you a bad man. That doesn't make you a weak man. That just makes you, once again, a functional, normal, healthy human being who is not going to be playing these games. You're not going to be the one that's going to sit up there and have these fights with these kids to get to mom. I want to converse with her. Gotta, sit in a room with the son. What do you want with my mother? Wait a minute, hold up. I've been knowing your mother ever since. Matter of fact, before you was born. How you figure you can start out of the blue, running the house? You see, traumatic situations will put these children in a position where they're like, look, let me know, mom, if he's acting up. Let me know, mom, if I'm going to have to come over there and take care of some business. Because some of them may have already moved out, but didn't move too far away. And you may see them quite frequently. And you're like, well, I thought you moved out. Yeah, I'm just checking in. I'm just looking around, seeing if everything's okay. Everything's good. Why are you acting like that? I'm acting like this because I don't have to get into it right now. Oh, well, you don't need to be coming over here all the time either. Well, I just want to make sure my mother's okay. You got a problem with that? I mean, well, your attitude and all that. I'm just checking to see if my mother's okay. You see? I'm telling you, this goes deep. Some of you all, you may not have even thought about this. And you're like, yeah, here's some other things that these overprotective mothers overprotective mothers tend to produce overprotective sons and daughters. Amen. But here's some other things that these children do, or adult sons and daughters, is that they will eye roll deep sigh every time you, father, boyfriend, husband, show up. That right there is a sign that there's some unresolved issues. And the best thing to do is ask them, what's up with you? Why is your attitude always negative when I come around? Give them an opportunity to express themselves, and don't be that mean-spirited, angry person that wants to steamroll over their conversation and not hear them out, okay? You may find out that it's really not about you, but it's about people who that mother's associated with. You may not be the one that they feel threatened by or that they're trying to protect mother from, but it's some other people that she's dealing with. Ooh, yeah, because some mothers are not necessarily faithful. Hello. And so when you got individuals who are like that, you see, they get themselves caught up in some pretty messed up situations. And meanwhile, you don't know. Okay? So the sons and daughters know quite a bit. The other thing is that when they are like, I'll handle this. And you know that it's something that you and the mother need to deal with, but they interject themselves. They're always, hey, Dad, I'll deal with this, or I'll take care of this. And they do it sometimes in a very helpful way. I mean, it's not even angry. It's not even ugly. It's just, but I'm getting tired of seeing his face. I'm getting tired of her showing up. Every time I want to have a conversation, here she go again. You know, she's interjecting. Oh, well, anyway, mom feels like this. And can mom answer for herself? You see, so they're always interjecting themselves into some kind of conversation or what have you, and they don't mind, telling you how they feel about this thing or that thing. Okay. The other thing that these overprotective sons and daughters will do is they'll behave controlling when it comes to monies. Mom, why are you giving him a check? Mom, what's this about? Mom, why are you buying him this? Mom, he don't need that. Mom, don't go over here with him. Is he paying? It's like, wait a minute, why are you all up in my business like this? Well, I'm just saying because, and a lot of times they're being that way because they see something that's not right. Or here's another thing. They don't want that money going somewhere that is taken from what they want now or in the future. Ooh, yeah. So is it really about being protective of mom, or is it for selfish reasons? See, I can buy my husband whatever I want to buy him. I can buy my boyfriend. I don't need you all up in my money, blah, blah. So now she got a falling out with her protective son and daughter when it comes to her money. You see, and now you got to have that conversation. What is it that you want? What you mean? Because every time I turn around, you in my pocket. Is there something that you want? Okay. Now, when I got the money for it, I'll give it to you. But oftentimes what? Young adults, grown individuals, they need to buy their own things. The problem with, the sons and daughters and the mom when it comes to this money is that, once again, they were used to mom buying everything and she didn't break them. And now they're going to eventually get to that place where they're going to say, I wonder what he got for me, the boyfriend or the husband. Because now mom is slowly but surely shutting them off financially. They're going to start sniffing around, that partner's way. And yeah, you might be in somebody's good graces for a minute when you give them some money and, buy something for them. But then when you stop, okay, what's up with him? Now they got something negative to say about you. Now they're claiming they're so protective of mom financially because, well, the last boyfriend or husband or whatever, or maybe there was no last boyfriend or husband. You've been it all these years, but they're claiming that now because they're not getting, what they want, and they're hoping to one day get it. See, everybody needs to pay attention to those children who use, I just love my mom so much, when it's really you just love what your mom does for you. Ooh, Jesus. And what somebody else does for you. Oh, boy. And these sons and daughters tend to be quite protective in various situations. It just all depends, on what is being brought before them. Sometimes the overprotectiveness disappears and they're not being so controlling financially. They're not being so controlling when it comes to her physical space. Where you going, what you doing, calling every, hour on the hour. Who are you out with? And you're looking as that man or boyfriend, husband, friend, like, why your son or daughter always calling you? I remember there was a woman who was dating, she was dating a man whose daughters was very much like this. Okay. Now, is that being protective or is there some jealousy going on? Especially if it's a new relationship. A lot of that goes on. And you may have to be the one to call that mother out on some things and say, listen, your son, your daughter, you might want to put them in check when it comes to calling you while we're out on a date. I don't want to start talking about your son and daughter, because every time when you talk to them, there you go, start talking about what they said, what they did, what they want. You're in a bad mood. I don't need that. I want us to enjoy ourselves. Okay, so you might have to have that dialogue, because jealousy has a way of creeping up, and people are saying, oh, that's so admirable at first that you're so close with your children. But then in time, no, it's not admirable. It starts to become annoying. And once again, people are ready to just move on. I don't want to battle with your children. I don't want to hear about your children every time I talk to you. I don't want to be that one that ends up having to go upside somebody's head because they think that they're big, bad, and bold and want to jump up in my face one day because they don't understand what's going on between me and you. I mean, some of these men will get worn out with that sort of thing, okay? And so, if there is this controlling behavior that's going on with the father, with the husband, right, or the boyfriend, and they see this sort of thing, that is why they're behaving in controlling ways. That is why they feel so bold as to man up, okay? That is why the daughters even, especially the passive ones, I hate to say it, but cowardly, gullible type of ones, they will just get out the house. I'm finding my own life. I'm moving on. Or maybe even the son who's been beaten down emotionally. I'm tired of protecting mom. Mom seems like she's handling some things. If mom has reassured the children, dad has reassured, okay, because I really don't want to have to fight. I really don't want to have to, so some of them never get to that point of confrontation, but they hold a lot in. I mean, they're fearful of dad. They're fearful of mom. They've seen everybody angry at some point. I just want to go. Okay. So what are my options? I can get out of the house, because this happened at some point with me, where I was just seeing that I was seeing that things wasn't the way they used to be. There was some tension in the household. These were midlife folks at the time, and it could have been hormones or whatever, but it's just something was funky in the atmosphere, and I couldn't explain myself, and I didn't feel like I had to protect my mother, but I did feel like I had to protect my sanity, because that tension, something was just off. And I believe sometimes that children are used as buffers or distractions or what have you, when a relationship is not where it should be at times. So let's bring in the daughters, let's bring in the sons, let's get all focused in on what they're up to. That way I don't have to pay attention to my relationship that is going downhill. Okay? I mean, people do this sort of thing. And sons and daughters that don't understand what this tension is, because mom and dad are pretty good about hiding it. They're just like, it's ugly, I feel it, but I got to go. So sometimes the tension is what pushes them out. It's not having a sit down conversation, because some parents just don't want to do that for whatever reason. It's not about the money. It's not about even the household or the space or what have you, because, hey, I'm quite comfortable, but I want out of here because something is funky in the atmosphere. Okay. And so they go ahead about their business and they look at their options. My options are, I can go to college. I can live with this boyfriend or this girlfriend. I can go off and get married, depending on, if they're a person of faith or what have you. Then I'll go ahead and get a place. Some of them will unfortunately end up pregnant because they're looking for love in someone. And that pregnancy may just flip everything upside down and sideways. They may get to a place that once they're out of the household and they're among their college friends, or they're among, people who they went to high school with, or maybe even other relatives, that they realize there's been so much control going on. Not only was the husband or the boyfriend or the best friend or whatever to the mother or their own biological father was so, controlling with her, but controlling with them. And then that's when they rise up. And I know some of the controlling fathers don't want to hear them, standing up for themselves, and they look at it as disrespectful or what have you, but no, they're growing up. And that's a good sign that they're standing up for themselves, because if they're cowardly and they're not expressing how they feel, and you don't allow them to do that, this can end up going into an abusive relationship later on down the line. because they saw some things, they heard some things, they see how you behave with the mother, and so they go, you know what, this is all familiar. So when it rises up in their relationship, they deal with it just like mom dealt with it, or just like you dealt with it, because maybe your wife is controlling. Okay, she learned a thing or two, and now she's flipping the script on you. So people are on that power and control trip, their ego tripping, and people get to a place where, sons and daughters more specifically, get to a place where they want to just go. I gotta go. I don't know what this is. There's the sentimental stuff that goes on too in these relationships, where mom will say, I'm not leaving your father. He's been in my life for 30, 40 plus years. And they're like, but you need to. Okay. Sometimes there's those quiet conversations that's going on behind dad's back. And he's like, oh, what? I can't believe this. No, you need to take a look at how you're treating your family. Okay. And they could very well be encouraging mom. And mom's like, but no. So you're safe there, because she keeps fighting up against the children about leaving, because she's grown accustomed to the controlling ways. She's grown accustomed to the mean-spiritedness. There is no change really going on. And she's like, well, I'm just stuck here. And that's where my laboring to love an abusive mate comes into play. And she's just stuck here. She just realized, oh, well, I just don't think I can do it. And it's like, what? You rather put up with this person, disrespectful, ugly. And I mean, the sons and daughters are preaching. They're trying to get her out of a situation like that. And those on the outside looking in who know about some of you fathers, husbands, boyfriends, they may also be trying to get her to move on. And then what do? It's like a tug of war. You come up with ways to, keep her close, because I'm not ready for her to go nowhere. Well, rather than coming up with little manipulative tactics to keep her home, or keep her close, or keep her running around for you, instead you should just show love and put those children at ease. Okay? Put those children at ease. There were times in my life where I saw some things. Once again, I was disrespectful, I was foul, I was ugly. And I said to myself, that I'm not going to be the one that convinces my mother too much of anything, because I knew that type of conversation, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise, I mean, she just was the type of person that she wasn't going to listen, in terms of making some adjustments. There were times where she seen some things and she came to me with them. And I said, well, here's what you need to do. You need to be able to be your own person, be independent. You've been with this person for so long, to the point where you sometimes don't know who you are, I mean, we had these odd little conversations once in a blue moon, and that was because, like I said, she brought some things, to my attention, and she wanted to know sometimes what I thought about something. But as I got older, I realized that unless a person's willing to do something, you're just talking and you're just talking some more. Okay. And so, I had my own little things that was going on in various relationships, and I would just share those things with her, because I knew that she wasn't going to do too much of anything. And it was at times disheartening, because I wanted to see her, just show strength. And there were times where I saw her show weakness. And when I did see her show weakness, there were times where I just lingered around the house a little bit. I was supposed to, get on the plane a little bit earlier. And I said, you know what? Let me just hang around. Make sure everything's okay. Okay, everything looks good. Dad's behaving himself. She seems to be behaving herself. I'm at peace. And then I got on the plane. And the last time that I got on the plane, I said, I'm done. I know that she has her times where she's bored. I know she has her times where she wants to be a bit distracted by me and what I'm into and what I'm doing, but I'm not going to give her that. No, I'm not going to give her that. She needs to just see things for what they really are. We don't need to be a distraction in her life, you see. And so, it is what it is. Sometimes God sets this sort of thing up. We don't even realize what's taking place. The dynamic of the relationship is changing between, son and mother, or daughter and mother. What she thought was okay and good for her ends up turning into something where the children declare their independence and move away from all that mom's tied to. So even if she doesn't have the sit down conversation and say, it's okay, it's all right, mom's going to be good, she can defend herself, there's something that happens within the daughter or son as they grow older and they have their relationships and they have their children, where I don't want to be mixed up in whatever this is, okay? Or whatever it isn't. You see, I don't want to be up close and personal to see mom's wounds or her hurts or her fears. I don't want that. I've been on that trip when I was little. I couldn't hear, I couldn't see, but I could feel certain things, you see. And so they just naturally just go about their way, some. But then you got those fathers who they're pushing mom to push them out. And if you do it prematurely and you do it without conversation, and you've got your own share of tension that you're putting upon that son or daughter, it just might take longer just because. I know he want me out and I'm going to stay here just because. I know that I overstayed my welcome, but until I'm at peace, he can say whatever, do whatever behind my back, because sometimes the fathers don't want to do anything in the children's faces, because of course the children are going to look at them as being heartless and you're not a good dad, and why would you push me out like this? So they'll use the mother to do it. Okay. And some children, out of spite, knowing that this is being done and it's not done in a healthy, productive, functional way, dad doesn't bother to sit down and have a conversation with me or what have you. He's on this little trip of pushing you to push me out the door. I'm going to stay just a little while longer. It's rebellion. It's not cool, because you're actually hurting yourself when you do that, because now you got to look at this man who's giving you the side eye. Why are you still here? You see. So if you don't want to get into all of that, son or daughter who tends to be a bit overprotective, just make a plan and move on. Right? Like I said, you get older, you have your relationships, and, you have your children, and you realize this is not a fight I need to be involved with. I got too many other things I'm dealing with right now. They can go ahead on and have their high and low relationship, emotional roller coaster, up and down, delusional, we're so in love, and they haven't been in love in I don't know how many years. This sort of thing. I mean, I'm speaking somebody's truth. I get it, So if you don't want to be in a ball of confusion, whether you are the father or the husband or the boyfriend, and you're seeing that mom's not backing down, she's not shaking when it comes to putting her children in place. And if you are the son or daughter that you're sitting up here in the household and you're worried or you got tension or you're concerned about mom, and then you're the mother who's holding on to your children like they're Lucky Charms. I mean, people need to move on. People need to get a life. People need to stop with this. Okay? It's not healthy. It's not functional. It's not good to be in situations where nobody wants to talk about what is happening. Nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room, about the son who does not trust the father. Okay, he's made it plain. When he last argued or yelled or was ready to, jump in a fight, he don't trust. And so father needs to work on building up his son's trust. I know, I'm the dad. I shouldn't have to do anything. Yes, you do. You have a lot to do. The Bible says that we're not to provoke children to wrath. And there's many a father who has done that while he's talking about he's a good dad. Over and over again, you keep saying things to make that boy want to go off in a corner somewhere. You keep doing some things to his mother that makes him want to just come out that room and just hurt you bad. He probably envisions some things. And that's why some fathers are pushy about getting them sons out, because they know that they can only get away with some things, but for so long before that son is going to confront. And it's not going to be the sit down conversation that you should have had months or years ago. Instead, he going to want to sit down with, or put you down with his fists. Oh, he ain't going to put his hands on me. Well, you know what? I can't guarantee that, and I'm seeing in the spiritual realm, I can't guarantee that some fathers are not going to be put on their backs. I can't guarantee that. I got to give you one more example, and this is going to amplify some things. A relative decided that once again, he was going to jump up in the face of his girlfriend. And once again, he thought he was going to curse her out in front of the kids. And once again, he hit her in front of the kids. The boys, older, okay, young adults now, they rose up on him. When the police showed up, Daddy was on the floor. You ain't that big and bad. At some point, you get older. You're not as feeble. You're not as stable. Okay? You think that you can keep getting away with certain things. And so the police showed up and they took that father out of the house. Okay? Not the sons. Because the son said, he's always been hitting my mother. Ever since we was little. Always doing this, that, and the other. That's why we did what we did, officer. You see? So don't be that cocky, confident one that's always talking about what somebody's not going to do to you, when you are the one who has been abusive to a mother, whether emotionally, physically, or even spiritually, because you got some of these ministers that I'm close with the Lord, or they're involved in a church somehow. And I know that they're not going to do this and that. You so confident, you so cocky. A child's going to grow up and turn into a man or a woman one day. And you will be talking all this talk about God is on your side. Well, God, he has a way of being on the side of those that are meek, those that are weak. Not the egoist, the prideful one. And I know that it was nothing but God that gave them boys the strength, because this was a bad man back in the day. But I know it was nothing but God that gave them boys the strength and put that man on his back for disrespecting the mother. And they hang around that mother to this day. Okay? So, we can talk a whole lot of talk, and that tough talk goes out the window. When you know you're in the wrong, you go to the Lord, you confess your sin, you repent. Okay? And you make life a little bit easier in that household. And stop with the ego tripping. And stop putting these children in a position where they're fearful, or they're worried, or they're angry. Sooner or later, they're going to rise up. Well, that is it. I thank you so much for taking time out to listen. I hope that this is an eye-opener. Come on now, some of you mothers, have that conversation with your sons and daughters, and put those boundaries up. Let them know you're good, you're okay, you're all right. And some of you fathers, okay, you need to have that conversation politely, respectfully with your children about what you see they're doing. And allow them to explain why they feel the way they feel, okay? If it takes them an hour or 2 hours to get everything off their chest, if it ends up being a crying session, let them talk. Cast your ego aside and let them talk. I notice you're being overprotective these days. Or I notice that you've got some things going on with you concerning your mother. What's bothering you? And who knows what they might tell you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube Minimum Enterprise 7. May God richly bless you as well as those that you love. Please do check the description box. Also, if you are willing to give, we do appreciate all giving. And you are welcome to like, subscribe, comment. Blessings to you.